And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
Hello, hola, guten tag, ni hao, konnichiwa, salam alaikum. Welcome to RBLR Sports with the RBLR Buccaneers squad. You are tuned into one of the hottest Buccaneers infused podcasts. We'll call this one tonight the Off-Season Odyssey. You feel me? Maybe this is your first time listening to us, or maybe you've been with us since the beginning. Regardless, we got some good news for you. You've been fighting the good fight. You are a week closer to seeing our guys on the field. Congrats, ladies and gents. 2 more weeks. You're almost there. And ooh, them NFC South rivals better be scared. All right, enough with my mediocre rhymes. It is time. Damn it, I did it again. Well, on the real, though, let's get started. But you know I got to introduce the crew. All right, my classy collaborators. To my right, he bleeds that pewter and red. Although I'm not beside him right now, I can feel his fiery energy right now. We got the Zone Blitz, Zach Blaine in the house. Zach, what's happening?
Man, I don't think I need to ever have another cup of coffee. All I got to do is call you on a Monday, man. Holy cow. How are you doing, brother?
So far, so good, man. You know, just another day in paradise. Yeah, I mean,
Hell
as I
yeah.
mentioned already, man, I'm just getting real excited for this season to finally start, dude. You know, especially
Man,
the fall season. It's my favorite season of the
I
year.
think
So
everyone who is listening right now can tell that you're more and more excited every week, man.
oh, yeah, man, I sure am. And the final puzzle piece of this trio, he's got that Buccaneer pride flowing in his veins. Like my boy Zach, he's got that captivating commentary and that razor sharp analysis. He is Corner Blitz Carter Brantley. Carter, the spotlight is yours.
What's up, Musab? I love the international intro. That was
I'm,
beautiful, man.
I'm telling you.
Hey, man, we
Just
RBLR worldwide.
yeah, oh, for sure. Mr. Worldwide, Mr. 305. Shoot. Yeah, I mean, alaikum salam, my brother. You know, you gotta hit all the different checkpoints for sure. But yeah, we're excited to get this episode started. You know, it hasn't been a super eventful week, but there's been a little bit of rumblings in regards to the Bucs. But before we get into any of that, I do have a very, very interesting question, kind of something to get us going. What is y'all's walk out of the tunnel song? You know, in baseball, they have a walk up song. Basketball, I don't really know what they got, but football, you know, when you're running out of the tunnel, walking out of the tunnel, whatever you'd prefer. You know, Tom Brady had the PSA, the Jay-Z, you know, allow me to reintroduce myself. So I'd love to hear y'all's. Zach, we'll start with you. What is your walking out of the tunnel or running out of the tunnel song?
So, you know, like I sat here and thought about it, and I can't remember the name of the song, but you know that song where it's like 50% concentrated power? You know?
God.
Okay, so
Remember
listen.
the name. Yeah.
What is this,
Exactly.
2010? Good Lord.
Okay, listen. Great song. And every time you hear it, you can't tell me you don't get a little bit pumped up, all right? But then I got to thinking, I was like, that would probably be my walkout song, but also like my personality, I think I'd pick some cheesy country song. Like She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy, like just to confuse people. But I think that's a song that I've loved since I was little. I know it's the weirdest song in the world, but it's one of my favorite songs. So I'd probably go She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy just to throw people off. And I know it'd get me pumped up and confuse the other team.
Wow, that's those are two very I don't know what to do with those two choices, to be quite honest. Yeah, the remember the name one, it hurts a little bit just because I feel like every high school baseball player in 2012 had that as his walk-up music.
Well, you see, we never had walkout music in high school.
Right.
But I remember playing like games where you could pick music. It was either that or all the highlight reels, like all the big hit highlight reels of like 2012, where it was like, "Here Comes the Boom."
Yeah. Ready
Like
or not.
those were always what I remember hearing and being like, you know what? If I ever do anything with my life in sports, I just want to hit people. Like that's got to be one of those two songs is going to be it.
Fair enough, I suppose. All right, Musab, hit us with yours because, oh man, after the remember the name, we gotta get it better.
Oh man, I mean, I don't know how much mine is different from that. It's kind of the same vibe. For me, it's Put On by Young Jeezy. I don't know if y'all know that song.
Yeah, oh yeah,
The
love
I Put
Jeezy for
On for
sure.
my city. I'll tell you this, man, back in my AAU basketball days in middle school when I was a bench warmer, that song would come up during warm-ups and I'd be thinking today's finally the day I put the team on my back. You feel me? Just straight up hype with some of that old Kanye flavor as well.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I dig the Young Jeezy reference. That's a good one. Um,
Agreed.
yeah,
Agreed.
for sure, for sure. You can't go wrong with some Jeezy. Um, Man, I asked the question I'm kind of split because, you have to pick something that's cool, but also kind of popular because you don't want to pick some weird, obscure thing that doesn't hype up the crowd and doesn't, it just makes you look like an asshole because then you're just trying to be pretentious.
That was my
Uh,
issue.
Right, 100%. So I get it, but you also gotta pick something a little cooler. So I want to pick, but you also got to be clean because my initial go-to is fuck up some comments about the future. I'm sorry to my producer for saying the f bomb, but that's my initial thought. But obviously you can't have that one. So mine would probably be Mr. Carter by Lil Wayne. That'd be a good one.
See,
Just because my name's Carter. So sorry to hit the nail right on the head.
man, that's a good one. When I sit here and think about it, I'm like, the music I listen to, nobody's gonna want to hear when I run out. Like,
Yeah.
if I had to pick one of my favorite songs, it'd be a local band in the Orlando area, Magnolia Park. Like 10 for 10, it's a great song, but it's like emo music. Like, I don't
Right.
think the fans in the stands want to hear that when I walk out of the tunnel.
Yeah, for sure. Like no one wants to hear, Blue and Green by Miles Davis. That's what
Yeah.
one of my favorite songs. So you're not gonna have jazz as your freaking walk out
On
of
the
the
dock of
tunnel.
the bay.
Right, exactly. So like, but yeah, just a little something to get the juices flowing, just to, talk about something interesting other than just, Bucks talk.
I like
But
it.
now getting into actual Bucks talk. They brought back William Gholston, the defensive lineman. They're just kind of bolstering their defensive line depth, which is always important. You can't really, it's kind of like pitching in baseball. You can never have enough linemen because injuries are bound to happen. If you have a good rotation, you can keep guys fresh. So I thought it was a pretty solid deal. I think it also reduces his cap hit for this year because, they use that weird voidable years thing on him. So bringing him back allows them to kind of get a little more cap breathability. Obviously they still have to spend money on him though. So did you like this deal or do you think maybe they could have focused that money elsewhere? Zach, we'll start with you. Initial thoughts and how you felt about this deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I dislike the deal. Like, obviously, he's a Bucs lifer, so I mean, he's the second longest tenured Buccaneer player and one of two that have been with the team before Jason took over. So it's like it I'm torn because like nostalgia says, okay, he's back. Like he's been with us forever. I want him here. Um, the other side is I think the defensive line was one of the positions that I was most excited to watch this year because it was a bunch of new names with a few veteran names. But when I saw that we had released Jeremy Banks for it, the linebacker out of UT, that one kind of I was like, man, I was excited to see him play or at least get a shot to play. So I'm torn on it. I'm not mad about it, but I'm not like super happy about it either.
Sure. No, I totally understand it. And it's always tough with these signings because it's not just bringing on the guy and paying for him. It's also the opportunity cost. You're also
Yeah.
losing an opportunity to potentially sign someone else for another person to potentially get reps. So it's just kind of, it's kind of a delicate balance. But like I said, like you said, he brings familiarity. He brings a veteran presence. He's, been around the team for over a decade now. So it's just, it's kind of just something to keep the team comfortable. Musab, how about you? Maybe you're more excited about the deal. I know in our group chat you seemed a little more enthused about bringing it back than maybe Zach or myself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm here for it. Happy to see him back with us. It's not like I was following him too deeply in the past, but I mean, it's just as you mentioned, Carter. It's nice to just have him in the rotations, solid depth piece, and I'm happy to see we can kind of get something going on with the D line. We got Hall, Vita, Vea, Cansey, Gaines, Gholston, and DeAndre and Sanat. We can get the rotation. Keep these big dogs fresh. Knows the culture and all that. I mean, I'm not like I'm going buck wild for it either. I'm hoping this helps us, in some way. And on top of that, I mean, I'll tell you this, I can't remember the last time I saw Patrick O'Connor, so I'm happy to kind of see him kind of, get that backup spot on the depth chart, if you get what I'm saying.
For sure.
But I want to ask you a question, Zach, because I don't know too much about the guy that you had mentioned. Was there, I don't know, something specific that you thought that he could bring to the table? Because I didn't really know too much about him either, and just looking around Twitter, I did see some kind of people mentioning that he had some issues in the past or something. On top of that, not everyone was kind of really motivated or had really thought that he would really be getting a spot on the team. So I don't know. Did he have some special attribute? Is really what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think for me it was that he was just a really fast linebacker who led UT in tackles 2 years ago. He did have some off the field issues, if I'm not mistaken, where he missed a whole season. But I think that's why he went undrafted. I think he would have been drafted, at least drafted, if he hadn't had those issues. And I don't know if he led all of the SEC in tackles, but I know for a fact that he led Tennessee in tackles at least or one time, and I think it was 2021 or 2020. And he's just a guy he's so fast that he was kind of everywhere at once, it felt like. And he actually came into college playing running back. So he ran for Tennessee his first, I believe it was his junior year, he transferred or switched over to defense. So just to be able to go from running back to linebacker, like I think that speed is kind of not in the linebacker room that we have right now. Not saying that we don't have fast guys, but not guys that could have played running back, if that makes sense.
For sure.
For sure.
Man, I'm with it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was a really intriguing prospect as well. But like you mentioned, he certainly came with his own litany of issues, dismissed from the team and then brought back. It was just a weird situation. No one really seems to know a whole lot of details about it. So maybe cutting him, it's a loss, but it's also kind of, he was an undrafted free agent. And obviously if he was that good, then he would have been able to overcome those issues and still get drafted. Because there were plenty of guys with issues, but also at the same time, it could have been a chance to Musab's favorite term, a diamond in the rough,
a hidden gem.
Excuse me. Yeah, there it is. So, it would have been cool to see if the Bucs could have gone with that. But, obviously Gholston's a more proven commodity. So bringing him in, certainly a cool move, and it'll be exciting to see if he's able to contribute on that defensive line. But I wrote an article recently in Creative Loafing about Casey Hayward, the slot corner. He played for the Falcons last year, and I just wanted to hear y'all's thoughts on him. How would y'all feel about him getting brought in to compete for the slot role? There were some comments made at a recent press conference by the Bucs that they're looking to Zion McCollum to really step up and kind of just fulfill his potential, because he's got a lot of athleticism. Zion McCollum was drafted very low in the draft, but he has a lot of upside. It's just about him putting it all together. But with all that being said, he could maybe use a mentor like a Casey Hayward. So that's a very long-winded way of asking, how would you feel about Casey Hayward being brought in to kind of support this secondary? Zach, we'll start with you.
Yeah, Casey Hayward is one of my favorite cornerbacks to ever play. I know, not ever, but like in recent, I had to fix that real quick. Not ever, but like in recent memory. That doesn't mean that he's the best cornerback in the world, but I just think that he's a dog. Like, I love the way that he plays. He only played, I believe, 6 games last year, so he didn't even get a full season in. But I think that he's someone that would be a great mentor for McCollum. I feel like corner is one of those positions where sometimes it takes time to get used to the athleticism of NFL receivers and the ability of some of them. So I think that giving McCollum another year. We got to remember it's only his second year in the league. Like he doesn't need to be great right now. So giving him another year behind a guy like Hayward is just, I think would do wonders for his future career.
For sure. And if you're depending on a 6th round pick from last year to be a really key contributor to your team, then this isn't a successful roster. This isn't the type of roster
100%
that you really want. So yeah, I'm with you. I would be really ecstatic about bringing him in. Musab, maybe you're a bit more careful because he only played 6 games last season. He's a little bit long in the tooth. He's probably going to cost a little bit at least. So obviously injuries played a part last year for him missing so much time. So maybe you're a bit more wary of Casey Hayward. What are your thoughts?
Oh, first and foremost, love the article, Carter. And what I want to start off with was, when you asked that question early on, and I don't think I really answered if there was somewhere else I should have preferred to focus on, and that was probably the DB unit. So, looking at your article and then, just talking about Casey Hayward, I'm all for it. Sure, the guy is on the older side, but, again, kind of the same vibe, I guess, with maybe Gholston as well. A vet who's seen a lot, know what it's take. Big thing is, we're looking at depth right now as an issue, and perhaps he can kind of be, like an advisor to the young guys. And what you said about Zion McCollum, you got to think about this as in the past, fans have been impatient about giving these guys time to really develop. Look at Carlton Davis, Jamel Dean, Sean Murphy Bunting. They all had they kind of look bad at the start, so you got to give the guys some time. He's a project, and, getting someone like Casey Hayward would definitely be a good move. When it comes to the whole money aspect, I think this whole cap space mumbo jumbo is mythical or whatever. I'll let the front guys in the office take care of that kind of stuff. I'm not thinking too much hard about that, but I'll just leave it at that right there. I'm for it. I think it'd be a good thing for us.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you. I think we're all in agreement. Bringing in Casey Hayward would be awesome. So, hey, that's awesome. We're unanimous. But yeah, I think
I'll watch because everything we say here at RBLR comes to life.
yeah, I mean, hey, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, I thought that was a great point you brought up with the Dean and Davis, because they were a bit struggling. When they first came into the league, they were not Darrelle Revis. They were not in their first couple of years. I remember watching Jamel Dean get absolutely torched game after game. It felt like, even during the Super Bowl run, they gave up, I think, close to 200 yards receiving to Tyreek Hill in one half in the regular season game against Kansas City. I get it. It's Tyreek Hill. It's Patrick Mahomes, but good Lord, it's still the NFL. You're getting paid too, so it was tough to watch. But obviously Dean took a huge leap forward last season. Carlton Davis continues to play very well. So it is important to preach patience when it comes to the cornerback position, especially just because, as obviously quarterback position is the most difficult on the field, but cornerback is certainly really hard as well. You've got guys moving really quickly who are really big, and you don't know where they're going, and you've got to try to keep up with them. It's
Not everyone's going to be a Sauce Gardner or Patrick Surtain. A lot of corners take time. They're not going to be even a top 10 cornerback in the first year. Most times, more times than not. I feel like people overlook that and just assume, well, we took him in the first round, we took him in the second round, he's going to be a great corner right away. I mean, I think a good one to look at for that is Jeffrey Okudah. Okudah, I think, is going to do so good with the Falcons. I think that Detroit gave up on him too soon, and people don't look at it because they're like, well, he was a first rounder, he should have been good right away. I don't think that's how it works 9 times out of 10 with corners.
Yeah, it's difficult to see the Lions kind of give up on him, and then also turn around and spend a first-round pick on a running back and another one on an inside linebacker. But we won't talk. This is a Bucs show. We're not going to talk about the Lions off season. But what we will talk about is some really amazing gear that you can find on the RBLR shop. They've got everything: Rays, Bucs, Lightning, Rowdies, anything you want to support your local Tampa teams. Definitely got to check it out. shop.rblrsports.com, and we'll give you a promo code Cannons, CANNONS. Type that bad boy in there and get 10% off your order. Definitely check it out. Got some fire. So we appreciate it. After that shameless shop plug, we'll move to the second half of our episode, and I want to focus on just kind of more of a big picture thing, because training camp's starting to ramp up. The preseason's right around the corner. Like Musab said, only 2 weeks. So we're kind of in the home stretch here of the off season. So are there any, I know that we've kind of talked to death about a lot of position groups, but are there any specific position groups now that we're kind of finally here? Maybe there will be a free agent signing or two, but this is pretty much the roster that the Bucs are going to have most likely moving forward. So with all that being said, is there any specific position group that you're looking at and you're thinking, I'm really excited to see how this position shakes out, the depth chart, who becomes a starter, what have you? Musab, we'll start with you. Is there a specific position you're looking at?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at DBs. Honestly, the only thing I can think about now that we're kind of missing out on is prioritizing the DB unit and seeing what we can do with that. And we got a lot of young guys, and we got to figure out what's going on with the kind of slot corner role. If we don't make a move on Hayward, if we don't, nothing really works out. We're looking at Zion McCollum, all right, who still has a lot to learn, but I don't know, perhaps maybe he picks it up. We're looking at D. Delaney. Just leave it at that, D. Delaney. And and we got Josh Hayes, again, rookie. In the past, or I've been informed that he's also kind of a versatile player. He's able to play safety. So who knows how that works out. But, looking at the kind of league and the way, football is these days, it's a little bit more kind of pass heavy. And my only issue is that, we left our DB unit kind of hanging out dry last year in 2022. And that's my only fear. I hope that doesn't happen again this year. So that's what I'm trying to look on, during training camp and even the preseason is, what kind of these young studs, who has it in them, who's going to be backing up our starters. Zach, what about you, man? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to agree with you just right off rip because I feel like it's going to make our conversation a little short. But I mean, I feel like I know a lot of people want to say offensive line, but from everything that I'm reading and seeing is that offensive line is pretty much set at this point as far as who our starters are going to be. So I think defensive back is really the only spot that we have like a legitimate battle at for that slot corner spot. And the only spot that I think we could use help like tomorrow. So I think that with that, I'm going to say defensive back, but I mean, I don't really have like more than what you've already said because you nailed it right on the head.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely in agreement with y'all as well. Defensive back is certainly a position to look for, but just for the sake of diversity, I'll talk about the pass rush group just because like Musab said, I love that point. They kind of got the cornerbacks kind of got hung out to dry, partially because of maybe kind of a lack of talent or a lack of depth, so to speak, but also because they weren't getting after the quarterback at all. And cornerbacks it's a tough art form. It's a tough position to play because you're going to get burned more times than not.
Oh, yeah.
But you're going to get burned way more times if the quarterback has 4, 5, 6 seconds to throw the dang thing. So if he's able to sit there, read the defense, read a newspaper, drink a cup of coffee, and then decide to throw it to his slot receiver going down the middle, then yeah, you're going to get lit up. So it's just, I think the pass rush room is really important moving forward because of the lack of production that they got last season. JTS, I think Jason Light mentioned the other day that he needs to see JTS step up. He's expecting a big leap this year in JTS's production, just his performance in general. I hope that's true. I hope it comes to fruition. Obviously, Shaq Barrett coming off of a huge injury, as well as just a tough offseason for him personally. It's been hard, but he says he's coming back and ready to go, really ramped up. So I'm really excited to see him play as well because obviously, he had one of the best pass rushing seasons that any Buck has ever had in his prime. So, if he can even approach that kind of production, then good gracious, they're going to be a really good defense. So those two guys are really the big key names, but obviously Anthony Nelson as well. Yaya, the young rookie out of Louisville, is going to be huge. I feel like him and JTS both just look like, like sculptures almost.
Yeah,
they're just so, and then they're just both ridiculously athletic. So if they're able to do anything with their, athletic ability and their just sheer strength, that's going to be really exciting to see for sure. So yeah, pass rusher. I love the offensive line inclusion as well, Zach. That was a really good one. But yeah, pass rushing is definitely my pick for sure. But kind of moving on, we're sticking on the defensive side of the ball though, because the offensive side may be sexy, but it's not as important. Well, I don't want to say it's not as important, but the defense is just as important.
Yeah.
So we're going with a bit of a dramatic off the field storyline here with this topic. How much stock are you putting into these weird Devin White Instagram stories? I know we're sick and tired of hearing about him because that was kind of what started this whole thing at the beginning of the offseason. He had these weird cryptic Instagram posts and then nothing really happened. And then a few months passed and now he's requesting a trade. So what do y'all make of it? Zach, we'll start with you because I know you're very intense with Devin White. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on his most recent weird Instagram stories.
I didn't see the Instagram story. I don't follow Devin White on Instagram.
Not worth a follow.
Yeah, I follow him on Twitter, but that's just because he plays for Tampa. I am so over hearing about Devin White. I saw a poll on someone's Twitter the other day where they're like, with Brady gone, is Devin White the new face of the franchise? And I swear to God, I've never wanted to throw my phone out the window so much in my entire life. And I just seeing Devin White, like I get it. He plays for Tampa, so I will support him while he plays for Tampa. But if he leaves Tampa, he will be my most hated player in the NFL. I swear to God. Like he's so whiny. He's such a diva. Could he beat my ass? Yes, 100%. But I still don't like him. Like, I'm just so over it, man. Like, give me Servassier Dennis. I don't care. Just trade him. I don't care if we get a 7th round pick and some popcorn for him. I'm just done.
Fair enough. Hey, I think a lot of Bucs fans share your sentiment. It's been a tough offseason for him, as for sure. And not in like the heartwarming or the, it's been tough in just his self-inflicted, Anyways, yeah, I'm with you.
The irritating part is just that he wants to get paid like a top 10 guy while producing like a top 50 guy. Like it's just it doesn't. I mean, those numbers are off. He's probably higher than top 50, but you get my point. He's not a top 10 guy in the NFL, and he wants to be paid like a top 3 guy, top 10 guy, and he just shouldn't. Like that's not. I don't know where in his head he's getting like that he's entitled to that because he's just not that good.
No, yeah, absolutely. Musab, how about you? Maybe you're a bit more, leaning on Devin White. I don't know. By that wry smile, I'm kind of telling that maybe.
Well, I mean, I am ripping the guy right now.
Oh,
he's muted. He's muted.
All right. Well, for Zach, I'm on the complete opposite side. Not that I don't hate the guy, but I like the guy, and I don't think he can beat my ass. I'm kidding on the second comment. But on the real, though, I don't think too much about the whole media kind of stuff. I mean, obviously, yeah, he is kind of being rather very dramatic during this whole offseason kind of thing. And, Zach, I agree with you. He's acting like he's kind of top tier, but he's not. I don't know. I kind of just like the guy's energy. I really loved the guy before all this kind of offseason drama. I was kind of running out of Buccaneers apparel to wear tonight, so all I really had was Devin White. Plus, it was actually a little memorable. As soon as we won that Super Bowl, I actually went on the shop and bought this jersey. But anyways, that being said, I'm not thinking too much about these things. I don't know. When it comes to media and it comes to things like this, I really honestly don't care at all. Unless there's some kind of post or some kind of article coming out, that is, this player said this, and this, then, I might think about, okay, this is what they said. But other than, these cryptic tweets and these kind of Instagram stories, I don't put too much thought into it. So that's really about it for me.
That's a very healthy way of looking at it, Musab.
Very mature of you, Musab.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm the exact opposite.
Right. Well, regardless, that's a very healthy way of looking at it, and probably the right way of looking at it, if we're being completely honest. He could be talking about any multitude of things, and we're just putting all this effort and energy into thinking about it and talking about it. What does it mean? And then it's like, I was like, oh, well, I just lost in Fortnite because my friend didn't revive me in time or something stupid. So, it's all just very silly. But it was worth talking about just because, it's the Bucs and it's Devin White and there's all this drama. So
football is a job, and I understand everyone's trying to get paid and all that. But I'll tell you this, man. These days, when it comes to a lot of athletes, even outside of football, a lot of them they're getting paid the big bucks, and I don't know. I feel like some people got a little lost in the sauce when it comes to payday. So I'll just leave it at that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely, they're getting paid millions of dollars to essentially hug each other and play on grass and stuff like that. While teachers are getting, and people who actually contribute to society are getting paid pennies. But that's enough of that. I won't go into that. But yeah, it's definitely tough to talk about. But then again, the owners are also making hand and foot. But anyways, so we're going to move on to a different topic. The Bucs are obviously in a terrible division, one of the worst in football. So, from another big picture question, kind of just taking a wide perspective, what do you think needs to happen for the Bucs to win the division? Like, what needs to go right? Maybe something needs to go wrong for the other 3 teams in the division? So all needs to kind of line up? How do the stars align for the Bucs to win the NFC South this season? Zach, we'll start with you.
I don't think it needs to be anything crazy.
Fair
I
enough.
think that this division is probably the most winnable of all the divisions. I think that it's kind of a crapshoot. Like any team could win it. But if I had to like specifically name one thing, I think we need to get the first 3 years of Baker Mayfield as opposed to the last few years.
For
I
sure.
think that's the main key. I think this offense is going to be really good. I think not really good, but I think we're going to see an improvement over last season because this offense was not good last season.
For sure.
I'm hoping that Rachaad White, as much trash as I talk on him, I don't think he's a bad running back, so I'm hoping he averages at least 4 yards a carry. Give me 4 to 5 yards a carry, and I think we're going to be good. And I think that if we get the old Baker Mayfield, I think that we will win this division. I don't think our defense has gotten too bad. We didn't really lose anything on defense, in all honesty. So I have a feeling that all we need is solid quarterback play from Baker and our run game to improve marginally, and we'll be all right.
Fair enough. And yeah, like you said, most winnable division in football. That also is kind of code for worst division in football. It's kind of a nice way of putting it. But yeah, it's definitely nothing crazy. I'm with you. I think if Baker is able to limit, like if he's able to throw under 15 interceptions and play the whole season, I think the Bucs could win it. Just because I think that the offense will produce, and if he's able to limit his turnovers and just not give the ball away so much, the defense will be there. So I'm excited. I think it's a very, very real possibility. But like I said, I think that a lot of it hinges upon Baker Mayfield's ability to kind of commandeer this offense, take control, and just lead him to the promised land. Musab, how about you? Maybe you're focusing more on the defense, or maybe you're with us and think it's all on Baker's shoulders. What do you think needs to happen for the Bucs to win this division?
Definitely Baker's a part of the equation, but what Zach said, nothing super special. I'll tell you this: we need the football gods to protect us from injuries and whatever is thrown at our guys. I'll probably just say the big thing is, just turnovers. We got to figure out what we're gonna do or what we don't need to do. We're gonna need to have a different approach. Especially with our division rivals. I'll probably say, we got a couple inexperienced quarterbacks, on our schedule. So I'm hoping that pass rush unit really takes advantage of that. And I'm just curious to see what goes on with the kind of pass and run game, because as much as it sucks and probably won't happen. I've heard Dave Canales mentioning, we need a little bit more of a balance on our offensive attack. But I want to know, guys, you think this is actually going to work out for us? Is this actually going to happen? Thoughts?
Are we signing Dalvin Cook? Because I know I just said I have faith in Rachaad White, but if we want an even pass to run offense, we're gonna need someone else behind Rachaad White, or maybe ahead of him.
Exactly.
Like I'm not saying he can't be our starter, but we need a more proven backup if he's gonna be our starter. Because if he comes out and rushes for 3 yards a carry again, he's going to get 6 weeks. He's not going to get a whole season. Because he proved last year, like, if you're not improving at the running back position, you're not important anymore, which is stupid. Like, I think that's the dumbest philosophy in the NFL. I think that running back is so much more important than the owners are giving it credit for. But at the end of the day, just because I think it doesn't mean that it's going to mean anything to the NFL. So, I just feel like if we want to run the ball even 50% of the time, we need a more solid backup.
Yeah, well, I think our offensive line also plays a little bit of a factor. I'm hoping they create holes for our running backs overall. But I'm right there with you, Zach. I don't have any optimism when it comes to those guys behind him, like Keyshawn Vaughn and Chase Edmonds, Sean Tucker, et cetera, et cetera. That's my only kind of concern is I'm hoping our opponents don't take advantage of that.
Exactly. 100% agree with you. What about you?
I'm with you. I think that not even necessarily counting on Rachaad White not producing, but also just because you can't count on him you can't expect anyone to run 30 times a game and, just that's just too much. They need a second guy to come in there, a change of pace guy, even just a fresh guy to come in and just take some carries, because
Exactly.
you don't want to run Rashad White into the ground. The running back market this season has been really disappointing. It's been sad to see a lot of talented guys really get undervalued. At the same time, I see the NFL's perspective. You command what the market demands, and the market doesn't demand good running backs for winning teams right now, or high paid running backs rather. But at the same time, like the Colts owner tweeted out this just horrendous.
He's such an idiot, bro.
Yeah, just disgusting. Like, dude, it's like he's just, anyways, I won't get into
He's been pulled over for DUIs and arrested.
Right.
Like, we should listen to your life advice, dickhead.
Right. Yeah, right. He's a billionaire. It just comes with the territory. But I don't know. It's tough to see the running back position get so devalued, but at the same time, I understand the perspective of, well, this is just how rosters are built. But regardless, in the terms of the Bucs and the context of the Bucs team, I'm with y'all. I mean, Keyshawn Vaughn and Chase Edmonds are not super viable backups at this point. I do think that maybe they need to take a look in the free agent pool or whatever, but we've also talked about that ad nauseum. And I don't know if it hasn't happened by now. I don't know if it will, and it's kind of tough. But at the same time, crazier things have happened. Teams bring in guys midseason all the time, especially veteran running backs. I mean, you look at a guy like Latavius Murray. I feel like that guy signs to a different team in the middle of every season.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, and it's because he's a good, solid back. But it's just kind of weird that he just bounces around so much. But anyways, we're kind of nearing the end of our episode. We really appreciate y'all for tuning in and listening. Without y'all, we'd just be sitting around talking out of our butts for no reason. But we really appreciate it. If you enjoyed what you heard, you can hit that like and subscribe button wherever you're listening to us, YouTube or wherever you get your podcast from. Also give us a follow on social media at RBLR Sports. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Our TikTok is fire at this point. It's established now, so it's stuff on there for sure. So definitely check it out. Thank you again for listening, and as always,
Go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.